He has a 1-1 count. That one's struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here off the line. You have got to be kidding me. Fireworks. Here you go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and welcome all inside High and Tight. Again, more conversations here from the wonderful CHIPS facility, and we are here in the dugout. The chance we get to have some conversations with impactful people who will be impactful in this very facility. Again, we are in the CHIPS facility in Waukee. Great, beautiful venue here. It's really a baseball player's paradise right now, and we get the chance to dive into some of the people who will make it happen and make it possible. And again, we get so many guys to bring in here, so many different guys that we will have with, for whatever the case may be, from catching, pitching, just overall player relations. I mean, truly, this is the holistic place, and we get the chance here as we will go ahead, switch our camera view, and we get the chance to catch up with Coach Reinerston here. And Coach, I want to say first and foremost, thanks again for taking the time here. Your expertise in the game, we have seen, and it's been chronicled even from your playing days here at Iowa. But I want to say first, congrats on the new gig, and first off, thanks again for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're really excited to kind of have the CHIPS facility here in Waukee and expand the game of baseball to everybody that enjoys the game. Yeah,
no doubt about that. And certainly, when they come here, there's going to be a lot that's going to be they're going to like here. So first off, the facility. I want to get your take here. It seems like it's not certainly it's not going to be the flashiest thing out there, but I will say there's so much when it comes to this facility that has been thought of, from from virtual reality to just warm-up routines, in-game simulations, beyond that. Even virtual reality is a part of the whole package here, including educational side of things. There is a lot to like when it comes to this, what this facility brings, and I want to get your take on it first and foremost. What were your first thoughts when you got on board, you got to see this facility?
Yeah, man, the first thought was, this is the best facility in the state, man, and
Yep.
I was excited because I think we can help any type of player, whether beginner or very advanced player. We can help anybody in the state. From the catching side, I'll be the director of catching here. So with my playing days in high school and playing in college, I've been around the game, so I kind of know what's going on there. Different things that we can do to work with each catcher. And then obviously we have Kirk running the pitching side, so we have our own little pitching lab.
Yeah.
3 mounds, TrackMan. Literally gives you the data you need to have to be, the best pitcher that you want to be. And then Corey on the hitting side that I'll assist him with. We got 6 drop-down cages with self-feeding machines. So even if you don't want to bring mom and dad into the facility one day, or you don't have a buddy to hit with, on a day, there's no reason that you can't get your work in. And I think that's what's really special about CHIPS.
Yeah, it's the one-stop shop wherever you go, and certainly love what they've got here. Again, you talked about where you with in terms of catching, hitting. I want to dive into the catching side of things, and again, before we get that though, I do want to dive into the history, because as I say on the show often, I love the journey that it takes. What's the legitimacy you bring to the table, and obviously, Kade, you bring that and then some here. First off, again, your playing days here in Iowa, but I won't give that away here. Kind of take us through what has been your path up to CHIPS.
Yeah, so I went to Ballard High School up in Huxley. Was a catcher there for 4 years, and then was lucky enough to continue my baseball career at Valparaiso University, small Division I up in Northwest Indiana. And that's where I met Coach Winter. That's the hitting guy here. And him and I have had a great relationship throughout my time playing, and he ended up taking a job out here and kind of reached out to me. And I knew Evan because I played for Evan when I was younger in travel ball, and kind of talked about what the facility can bring to the kids in the state. And they kind of got me on board, and I was pumped, man.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
I was really pumped. Corey, knows what he's talking about from the hitting side, and Evan's got good connections around the state. So I knew that this was a place that I would thrive in and be able to share my knowledge.
When you take a look at this too, the fact that that journey has gotten you to where you are, you've had to have learned a lot of things along the way. You talked about some impactful guys in your life there, but how do you describe what is, I know this is kind of a hard one to put a button on, but your coaching philosophy? I mean, how do you approach the game when it comes to this? Again, based off of your experiences and everything you do, you've always been that energetic guy that brings a lot to the table energy-wise. How would you describe that philosophy for you and kind of how you, what you want to give to kids?
Sure, yeah. One phrase I always go back to is how positive can you be?
There you go.
Especially in the game of baseball, you get beat up so much.
Yeah.
You fail so much, and everybody wants to compare themselves to everybody else. What's he doing? What's he doing? And when you just are positive, man, I'm just going to get better today. I'm going to focus on this rep. What's coach asking me today? I think that goes a long way. And then on top of that, from the coaching philosophy side, it's what can I do to help you? I think so many coaches these days, they want to fix everything. And it's like, are you helping the kid, or are you helping like what satisfies you? And I think it's like the first question I ask every guy is, what do you want to get better at? Well, I don't know. Well, you find something, and we can talk about what that one thing may be. I'm sure I may have my opinion, but my opinion doesn't matter. Like what you want to get better at, we'll attack and go from there. And the development side here is great. We have all the cameras in the world to take videos from behind, from both sides, from front. That gives us, instant feedback right away. In that lesson time or in that class session time. We have the new hit track, so we're able to see the 4-camera view. Those biomechanics. And along with that, we also have the hit track's catching module as well. So it'll do, pop time and stuff in there. Some video from the hit track's cameras from above too, to kind of see how you're receiving the baseball, and any footwork stuff that may need to be addressed. So that's it, kind of pumps me up. It's not so black and white like some people may like, or so old school like some people may like, and not so black and white either. There's a lot of videos now that we can use to help take kids' game to the next level.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I wanted to get into as well, using that technology. You just mentioned that briefly there a little bit. What is one of the things, say someone comes in there, their expertise is catcher, or their position is catcher, they want again, what are they going to go through when it comes to that? When they get into, what are you going to help them run through? How do you use that technology to help them develop and improve?
Sure, yeah. So for the younger guys, a lot of setup. How do we set up?
Yep.
A lot of young guys too, they want to catch balls like infielders. How do we actually catch the baseball correctly as a catcher? How do we frame the baseball as a catcher? Blocking, it's setting a mindset. What's our mindset going into blocking? You have to be a tough kid back there.
Oh yeah.
Some kids aren't meant to be catchers, and that's okay. But hopefully I can bring that mindset to them, and I think I can bring the mindset of, I want to block the baseball, and I want to be prideful and boisterous back there. And then from the catch and throw stuff, the hit track thing is going to be awesome, man. I can see, how your arm strength is. If we need to build you a throwing program, we're capable of doing that. We can. DMOS is in here for the strength and conditioning side, so they'll be able to show us their deficiencies, and we can kind of attack their deficiencies. Obviously, DMOS will attack their deficiencies from the strength side. Then we can, collaborate and help them out on the catching side as well.
Yeah, and one of the things too that I think in today's world, everyone wants whether it's behind the dish, throw that ball as hard as you can, get it there fast, the velo from behind the plate, but that's not everything. And as I talk to Coach Hale and to others, there is more that CHIPS is going to provide than just the one thing. It's not always going to look the flashiest, but you're going to get to the end result that you want in the end. And so I wanted to take that to catching here. Again, so many people want that flashy play, the dart behind the plate to nail the runner at second, always a highlight reel for sure. But what are some of the other things that you take them through that help them get to there? It's not just the arm strength in the end, although that's a big part of it. But you have always been one that's, whether it's accuracy, pinpoint, leg work, there's always been something there that's been really rocking, and it all comes together. And obviously that's why you made it to the next level there. So I wanted to get your thought on when someone comes in, it's not just the velocity that you guys are looking at.
Sure, yeah, it's everything involved, and my big thing is explaining to the kid of how you get to point A, from point A to point B, then to point B, or from point B to point C. Like,
There you go.
I think you have to explain to them and make them actually understand what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Because if they don't understand, they don't retain, and if they're not
Right.
retaining anything, they can't take that into the game, because everybody knows you get into the game, it's different than practice. You get sped up in a game, and so we're trying to make everything game-like as possible. That way, when game time comes, they're ready to go, and make sure they actually understand what they're doing. A lot of the stuff, too, I'm passionate about is just having baseball IQ and being able to, through the lessons and through the classes that we're doing of throwing, make sure they actually understand when's the right time to throw, when the right time's not to throw. Should I back pick here? Should I not? Like, understanding how the game works and different game situations, I think is very important, because I don't think a lot of kids watch the game of baseball anymore. And so I think being able to explain that and teach that throughout our coaching here can really help them take off.
And in the game here too, again, Coach, I find that there's so many ways that, again, you watch the game, but you don't watch the game. Despite being so connected, it seems like there's some disconnect out there. But one of the things that is very prominent about those that reach at the high level are, they're constantly pushing themselves. Their coaches are constantly pushing, but, you get into the high school realm, and you might have to dance a little differently with that. College guys, obviously one thing, but how do you end up pushing your players to that top level, which requires a lot of effort, and you've got to continue to push them. But how do you continue to advance and progress them and push them while still making the game enjoyable? I find that I see so many guys, and they're not so many guys. There are a few guys that come out and say, "Well, I felt burnt out," or something like that. And yet, you guys, many others would stay in the batting cages for days on end if you can. Stay in the facilities like this for day in and day out, and now make it part of your everyday existence. So it's there, but how do you balance that right now, especially guys who go, "Man, I want to do this," or maybe kind of teetering on the fence? How do you continue to push them yet keep things enjoyable for them?
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, go back to the phrase, how positive can you be, man? I think so many guys get so beat up, that they struggle and they don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, it's a great life lesson, man. You just keep showing up, and you keep showing up, and eventually it's going to work out for you, because, the game doesn't owe you anything.
Right.
You can work very hard and not be any good. That's part of life too. But I think, when you just say, I'm going to keep being positive, it'll eventually work out. And then you put yourself around coaches that care about you. They want the best for you. Our big thing here is you walk in the door, we know your name. You're not just a number to us. We know your name. And I think once players start understanding, hey, that guy cares for me, I think that's when they really take off, because they want to work hard. They say, he cares for me. He cares for me. And so I think that comes full circle of, how positive can you be? And then we're going to care for you here over at CHIPS. And I think that helps with no burnout.
And one of the things, too, that I find, and again, I've talked to Coach Romanchuk, Coach Hale, they talked about there's going to be struggle everywhere. Somebody coming on in is going to look at, say, an Anthony Watts, or, guys who are just rocking it at the high level that they're at. And you get a guy come in here, man, I want that right now. So many have won them right now. And when it comes to either that or just struggling, one of the things that really that I have liked and I highlighted several times that Hale has said is meeting them where they are. And I want to bring that into the kind of the catching, hitting realm here just a bit. It's the hardest thing to do to hit a round ball with a round bat. It's hard, and a show segment popped in my head, getting the chance to pop in and try and catch one of these guys, which I can only imagine is hard. You've had years of training and experience, so it comes naturally to you. But, guys kind of getting into that, despite wanting to get to that highest level and be the guy who can just pop in there and do it right away. You got to work up to it. But, in the end, when the phrase "meet them where they are," in the world of catching, you mentioned it, you got to be a dude back there. How do you kind of take that phrase into context, or how do you internalize that phrase when it comes to catching, the position of catching, which could honestly be the director of the entire field at one point.
Sure, yeah. And going back to what you said about Anthony Watts is he didn't get good last night.
That's
He
true.
didn't get good last night. It's a lot of effort, a lot of time that he put in, and I think you got to remind the kids, man, it's not going to happen tomorrow or the next day. But as you keep stacking days over and over, that's when you start seeing the success. And so that's the big thing, is reminding the kid every day, hey, man, you made a stride today, and not just saying it, meaning it. You know, if they got better today, you tell them, hey, you really got good today. And if they're slacking off, they're taking a couple reps off, hey, a little smack on the butt of, hey, let's go, you're better than that. Some positive reinforcement allows them to kind of allows you to meet where they're at, and then they can see their success, maybe not that day, but then the next day or the next day. So I think you bring up a good point of, things don't happen overnight. You ask any of those, you ask those big leaguers, man, they don't wake up and just become a big leaguer. They, are in high A and double A and triple A. They take their time to become big leaguers. So it takes time.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And, so many ways to improve here. Again, we've already talked about the ways that you can just view them and how they're working. A lot of technology there as well. But, a lot of advancement can be had here. And it just, in the end, the technology combined with the expertise, it just seems like right now when you walk into here, you're gonna improve. And I've heard that, and you hear that from other places too. But man, does this seem like you got guys which yourself have been, again, know the position well, have expertise in it. You didn't just hop off the wagon yesterday, for sure. Excuse me. But again, as we start to wind things down here, again, Coach, I always feel that it's important to really, again, not just highlight where you're from, which we did, and the technology here, but again, great philosophy when guys come in here, whether they're struggling or not. You really seem to hit that niche for them. And, there's so many things here, like the Proteus machine, I had the chance to talk. I mean, there's so many specific, it just blows my mind how you get so specific. In a game where, yes, there is a lot of specifics, but, so many places just have, hey, we'll get you as close as we can. You guys have the expertise and the facility, and of course, and the equipment itself. At this point, it only has to be, in my mind, your desire that might throttle it back or forward here.
Absolutely, and that's the best. That's the best part about CHIPS is some places that they don't have the space, or there's so many kids and there's 100 kids, and it's like, nope, like we want small groups. We want we want to be hands on with small group of guys. We want guys to come in and say, yep, I'm ready to work. Tell me what I need to do. I'm ready to work. Yeah. And those are the kind of guys we want. The guys that have came in so far, they've loved it. We had a group of guys coming today at 8:30, and they didn't hit till 9, and they were playing ping pong and hanging out with their buddies. And it's like, that's what it's about, man. That's the college lifestyle. You get done with class and you go play ping pong and eat lunch with your buddies before you have early work, and then you go to the field and you play, and that's what it is here, and that's the kind of atmosphere we're looking for. Is you come in, hang out, get your work done, and you want to hang out more, great. That's the atmosphere that we want to bring here.
One of the things as we wrap up here that I've talked about is what's the preparation like? How do you get ready for the next level? You just talked about that. Even the atmosphere down to not doing baseball activities is exactly what you would do. Yep. And so I wanted to get your take. You've been through, obviously, you've played college ball, you've done that thing, so you've had the experience. How much does this mimic what you were experiencing, not just through your recruitment, but in college?
Yeah, it truly mimics it exactly. At Valpo, like I said, I would go to class and I would go to the field, and we'd have ping pong games running literally, from 12 to 2 until early work started. We had like a college football bracket going on, and so we'd play that, and we'll have a PlayStation here next week or so. And so it's truly the same thing, and it's the same feeling. Like, guys enjoy it. I think it takes their game off of baseball a little bit. You didn't have a great day in the cage. It's like, I'm gonna go hang out with my buddies in the clubhouse. And then I want to go get more reps. Okay, I can go get more reps. Like, that's the best part about this place. We have a place for you to hang out. We have a place for you to, meet new people and create new relationships. And at the end of the day, it's what matters, because that's how I got here. So.
There you go. Hey, I love it. And again, love the fact too, you're an Iowa guy, born here, you know it, you know these guys, you know the grind of summer high school baseball. that was really one of the things that when I looked at the list of who I was getting the chance to talk to, obviously very excited because you've seen it. High school ball and I was a little different,
Yes.
you know, and so, but one of the things is you're a huge success story. You know, you can still get to that next level. It's still a D1 level,
Yep.
and you did as well. So, again, kudos to your journey, what you've done. Ecstatic that you are here. I don't know if there's anybody better. So I appreciate you coming here. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have more from this guy here. Coach, as always, I love the fact that I get to call you Coach now, by the way. You know,
I feel grown up a little bit.
There you go. But expertise to a T right here. You will not miss out. Sure thing. And so, again, check out more. We'll have more conversations here with Coach, and we'll get the chance to dive into a whole lot more as we go through the season. But until we see each other next time, stay safe on the base pass. Thanks again, guys.